Starting your day off with a take on Vegas you won't get anywhere else.
Hi, I'm Holly Madison, and I listen to Brian Shapiro.
Hi, this is William Shatner, and I listen to Brian Shapiro.
Hey, this is Larry the Cable Guy, and I listen to Brian Shapiro. Why? Because I'm a good American. So is he. And if you don't listen to him, you need to pack up and leave this country.
This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
Come on, guys!
What's up, Vegas? It's your Friday edition of the Vegas Day coming to you live from 101.5 FM, 720 AM KDWN, getting you set for your weekend. Brian Shapiro out today, but that's okay. You got your Democratic punching bag in the seat here. Chris Wynn jumping in along with Johnny here running the hits. J.D. Sharp joining us momentarily, as well as so much action and so much activity to get to across the world of entertainment, politics, and sports. Obviously, the last couple of days, the focus has been on the Democratic Party as the debates of the last two nights down in beautiful South Florida have been taking place. Last night, you had a 10-person stage once again, as we did on Wednesday. Basically, the second half of a debate-a-thon that began about 48 hours ago, with 10 more aspiring to the White House, duking it out for what is known when you're 12 to 15 months outside of the election and, of course, Election Day in November of 2020. It's about the buzz, right? It's about getting your name out there. It's about having an opportunity and kind of separating yourself from the rest of the crowd. And, of course, we all know there's a huge crowd. We're talking about 24 people running for president on the Democratic side. So we'll get into the debate last night. We'll talk to you about the winners and losers, and we want your thoughts, too. 702-257-5396 is the phone number. Hit us up with your opinions. Now, it's always entertaining. Look, myself having an opportunity to hear the show last night with JD and Brian here on the Vegas Take. It's great to get the opinions of our callers because we're a conservative radio station, and we have a lot of Trump supporters that listen to this show and listen to the shows all day long, and Republicans as well, of course. And so it's always intriguing to get the opinions of the other side when the Democratic debates are going on. Now, look, you take it with a grain of salt because we understand what people's ideologies are and where they're coming from and what their thoughts are when it comes to something like this. But it's still, it engages a lot of entertaining banter, let's put it that way. And I'm sure we'll have some tonight as we get you set for your weekend. Now, I had a chance to watch all 2 hours of it last night, and I was taking some notes, kind of bouncing around Twitter a little bit. And I've got my winners and losers. And this is tough because I happen to agree with Michael Avenatti, who Brian and JD had in studio on Wednesday. Yeah, when he talked about how the Democrats, there's just too many people in the race, right? I mean, it's just everybody and their brother is running for president. And while I guess you could look at some pros and cons on that, and the pros being that, hey, it toughens up the people who are going to be at the top. It makes it, it gets these people weather, and it gets them prepared to face off against Donald Trump once the real election season gets underway, probably in 4 or 5 months or so, when people start zeroing in on 4 or 5 people that will be running on the Democratic side. But the problem when you have debates like this is that regardless of everybody being, quote unquote, in the Democratic Party, and for the most part having kind of the same mentality and the same ideas when it comes to policy and issues like that, it becomes a circular firing squad. It ends up being a situation where, all the negatives are going to get accentuated, right? When a debate like this goes on and you have all these Democrats on the stage like that, it's not all kumbaya and all good feelings, right? Everybody's bringing up everybody's negative aspects or bringing up what they don't bring to the table. And that's exactly what happened last night. And now joining us live here in studio, of course, J.D. Sharp, co-host of the Vegas Take. J.D., what's going on?
Just hanging
As you, I like to hear it. And we're just getting into the whole debate situation last night. JD, you of course, and Brian talked about day one on Wednesday down there in Miami. And I think it's most people's observation from last night. It was a little more heated, right? It got a little more fired up. People were jostling back and forth a little bit more last night than they were on Wednesday.
You had legitimate candidates last night who can actually win the DNC.
Right.
That was not the case in the first night.
So, no, you don't think anybody that was in the debate on Wednesday?
No
has
chance.
A chance.
Zero chance. I could see maybe Castro or Booker being a VP, but as the actual president of the United or the DNC nominee, no chance.
But you looked at
the winners were last night.
And you looked at Wednesday night, though, it seemed like there was a lot more cordiality, right? A lot more people that were, they weren't going at, let's put it this way, they weren't going at each other's throats, right?
Right.
As much as last night where people were taking legit stands against each other and calling people out, right?
I mean, it was Kamala Harris really in the wrong for calling out Joe Biden for saying what he said? I don't really think that she was.
Well, it's not about being right or wrong necessarily. It was just about the kind of, the dialogue and the banter and creating a contrast, right? That's what they're trying to do. That's what these people, it's tough to do. There's 24 people in the race for Democrats, so you got to have to distinguish yourself, right, between these other candidates. And you want, it's almost like a race where, there's people trying to get up to the front and jockeying for position. And that's exactly what was happening last night. But there was absolutely, right, JD, you looked at that debate last night, there was clear winners and losers, in my opinion. And you bring up Kamala Harris. She's thought of as one of the winners. Okay, she gave, in my opinion, a very strong performance. She was the adjectives used about her last night were calm, poised. She was extremely knowledgeable when it came to policy issues.
Yeah, she has a lot of experience in that field.
Yeah, and that word came up, JD, presidential. She was presidential.
I'll tell you this. After watching last night, and I knew this already, but Kamala Harris is the one candidate that Donald Trump has problems with because when he attacks her, he can't really attack her as hard as he can attack a Joe Biden because she is an African-American and she is a woman.
And Joe Biden, for Donald Trump, you got to believe he's target rich, right? I mean, Trump.
Oh, absolutely.
He's already mentioned in interviews.
Yeah.
He said, if there's one guy that I want to run against in the Democratic
Biden.
Party, he wants him bad.
Trump does not want Kamala Harris.
No.
I promise you that much.
702-257-5396 is the phone number. We got some callers on the line already. Want to talk about this. What was your reaction to the debate last night? Winners and losers. And did anybody clearly kind of portray themselves as somebody that might be somebody that can take on Joe Biden? Because right now, look, here's the deal. Joe Biden still is leading the polls. He's the front runner. So, and that was, to be honest with you, that was a big reason why he caught a lot of the flack last night. That's the reason why he was the target last night, is because, the guy on top is going to get a lot of the heat.
And a lot of that has to do with the fact that he was Barack Obama's VP.
That's true,
and
too.
So he got a lot of African-American support. I think he's going to lose that now that Kamala Harris is kind of stepping in.
702-257-5396 is the phone number. You're tuned to the Vegas Take. I'm Chris Wynn, in for Brian Shapiro, along with J.D. Sharp. Let's hit the phone lines now. Raul is on the phone line. Raul, what's going on?
Hey, Raul.
Raul, turn your radio down so we can hear. Can you hear us?
Hey, how you doing, guys?
What's going on?
Well, first of all, man, Kamala Harris is Indian and Jamaican, man. She's not Afro-American at all. You know that, right?
Well, it's not really it has nothing to do with my. Here's the deal, though. It has nothing to do with my opinion whether or not she's black enough or not. I mean, I think she identifies.
No, she's not black. That's my point, man.
Well, she identifies as African American. She identifies as a woman of color. Okay,
she's Jamaican and Indian. Okay, I'm a man of color too. I'm light brown. Big deal.
All right. Well,
my point is that was a complete clown show. There's not one candidate on there. They want to take Donald Trump out of office with that. There ain't one candidate running, and they're all a bunch of clowns, man. They need something better than that.
So you don't think anybody won the debate last night? You don't think anybody came out and was impressive?
Bernie Sanders, man, he's a complete joke. Kamala Harris,
not going to argue that.
High. She smokes pot every day. And Joe Biden, he's like senile. And that other guy was slobbering all over himself, that Eric Swallowswell, or whatever the heck his name is. Terrible candidates, man.
All right, so for some very general observations there from Raul.
I'll put it this way. Elizabeth Warren should have been on that stage, not Eric Swallowswell.
Well, Eric Swalwell was on the end of the stage. I mean, it was.
Well, yeah,
look,
I understand, but isn't it about you have to have so much money in your campaign? Elizabeth Warren has way more money in her campaign than that kid.
Well, the setup was the setup. I mean, they have.
The setup was terrible, man.
Well, they have 24 candidates, or 20 candidates that were actually on the stage. 24 total.
How are they going to drop that down that quickly? How are they going to thin the herd that quickly? You know, I agree with you to an extent. I don't agree with you on Kamala Harris. And as far as her smoking pot, Barack Obama smoked quite a bit of pot too. It doesn't make a difference. I think Kamala Harris has a very, very legitimate chance of beating Joe Biden. And if she does beat Joe Biden, Trump will not be happy that's the case.
Didn't Slick Willie Bill Clinton smoke some pot as well too back in the day? I mean, I don't. Is that really something that we're judging people on now, particularly politicians?
It'd be much different if she mainlined heroin or if she had a meth addiction. Smoking marijuana is just not a big deal.
Something tells me she wouldn't be able to get where she is in life, and particularly in politics, if that was the case. 702-257-5396 is the phone lines. Abe is joining us now here on the Vegas Take. Abe, what's going on?
Hey, Abe.
I'm a real bleeping man. I got a big bleeping piece. Yes, I know. Got a straight up bleeping woman.
Abe, are you having a conversation with somebody else besides actually the Vegas Take, or is that what I'm trying to figure out what he was talking about?
I think that was a movie playing in the background. I'm pretty.
It sounded like some dialogue from the tube.
He said
that he was playing.
He said something. I'm a real freaking man. I got a real freaking something, and I don't know exactly what it was.
As JD would say, not a top-notch call.
No,
right
that was questionable.
702-257-5396 is the phone number. Let's go to Gary. Gary joins us here on your Friday. Gary, what's going down?
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Gary.
I was a Democrat for years. I want to be a Democrat again. And I feel Raul's pain. I really do. And I don't know. I don't understand. It's just basic common sense. I don't believe that, for instance, the government should artificially, boost the minimum wage. It should be supply and demand. I mean, we need to have rules and order, and the less people available for these jobs, the more these people get desperate and pay people more money. It's just common sense. I don't know where the Democrat Party is out of space. I don't know what caused it. And I would love to be a Democrat. I'm a registered independent. I always stick up for President Trump and Republicans, but I never want to be a Republican. I'm more like conservative. And it frustrates the hell out of me. Where's my country going? Where are all these crazy people coming from? You know? And the other thing I want to say that has nothing to do with anything, but I heard Vladimir Putin has outlawed rap music. I would just love to hear on the Vegas Tape a Russian rap song, for a few moments, just so I have something to laugh at and not feel so depressed.
Gary, just one more thing.
That's a really, really reasonable request, and I'll try to make that happen at some point in the next 50 years.
I think JD can make it work. Gary, that's one more thing I can blast Vladimir Putin for. How are you gonna talk smack about rap music? There's some quality rap out there.
That's why we live in the greatest country in the world, and people, they hate America.
Hey, so here's a stat. The Wu-Tang Clan actually used more different words than Shakespeare.
I did not know. They were that versatile as a rap group.
In their first 3 albums, absolutely.
I like Eminem. I like some of the rap music, some of it. I'm not, all hate and prejudice. I really not. I like Billy Joel when he says it's all rock and roll to me. But, I'm an old fart, and I hate to say it. I'm into, the early music, and that's what it makes me feel good. But, hey, listen, I don't deny anybody anything, and what do you call it? You guys rock and roll over there and keep up the good work, man.
Hey, Gary, thanks for the phone call. You brought up women minimum wage. So the consensus here in the first few phone calls is that, hey, nobody was a winner last night, JD. It's just a matter of it's just a matter of a circular firing squad gone bad for the Democrats. 702-257-5396 is the phone number. Vinny joins us now here on the Vegas Take. Vinny, how are you doing on your Friday?
Hey, guys. Just want to say the Democrats should never lose an election again. They have the 5 biggest entities in the world behind them: Hollywood, big technology, sports, academia, and the media. And with all that being said, it's still neck and neck on most of the elections. Look at Google. Russia spent $4,700 to Google, and everyone thinks this was this big thing when all these fake things, and they spent like maybe $2 million on Facebook, and everyone wants to say that tricked people and made people vote against Hillary Clinton. That's not true. She was a terrible candidate, and
she was horrendous.
The media is 90% liberal. I'm from Cambridge, Mass. I know social engineering. The media they're elitist, they're condescending, and my proof of it is look at Brian Williams, Dan Rather, and David Gregory. They all did. David Gregory did Meet the Press. The other two did Nightly News. And after they were done with their careers, they come out as flaming liberals, and it showed. There was bias during their telecast, and that's why I thank God for Fox.
Well, look, I don't think there's any question that there are individuals, there's people in the media, in the quote-unquote mainstream media, and, of course, we're talking about CNN, MSNBC, NBC, CBS, ABC, New York Times. You go down the line of what's qualifies as mainstream media. By the way, I'd put Fox News in there as well, too, because for the most part, up until 2.5 years ago, it was, if you watch Fox News anywhere between, 7 o'clock in the morning up until about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah, it's regular straight news. They're just like every other network.
Shepard Smith hates Donald Trump, and most of the little segments they do, it's a generic liberal and a generic Republican. It's very boring.
Yeah, you understand my point, though. I mean, I'm trying. The media hasn't changed in decades. It is the same. I mean, it's not. Nothing's changed.
Towards liberal.
No, what's changed is the access to the media with social media has totally changed, and I agree with you.
Exactly.
So what are you? I'm not sure what you're getting at here. Are you trying to say that the Democrats should, with all the assets they have in their favor, they should have this ready-made, awesome candidate, and they just don't? And the fact that they have these 24 subpar candidates is kind of a joke. Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying is the country is still somewhat center right, and just from we have to stop making people being allowed to be victims. We don't care who you sleep with. People want to make a big deal of it and have a crusade, but normal, everyday people don't care who you sleep with. You want to be a victim, we don't care.
Vinny, we appreciate the phone call. Have a great weekend, okay?
Thank you.
It's the Vegas Take coming away live on a Friday. Chris Wynn along with J.D. Sharp here live in studio in beautiful Summerlin, Nevada. Let's go to Dave. Dave's on the phone line. Dave, your thoughts on what's gone on here the past 48 hours with these Democrats and these debates?
Hey, my observations about the debate last night was Joe Biden looked kind of tired and old and kind of befuddled. And I don't think that helped him a whole lot. Kamala Harris looked lively and articulate, and I think she basically won the show.
Yeah, that was the thing with Biden. Look, I'm someone who thinks Joe Biden's going to eventually end up being the Democratic nominee, but last night he seemed very rigid. He was, it was tough for him to kind of stick to and fit his points into the 60-second time limit setup that they had. And then, of course, he had the back and forth with Kamala Harris where she pushed him on his comments about segregationist James Eastland, and then, of course, his opposition to school busing. And quite clearly, as you pointed out, Kamala Harris won that banter back and forth. She won that debate. So. I mean, there's of course, the late-night comedians had a field day with Joe Biden on this, saying, she basically took him to school. And, Dave, I think but do you think, when you saw that last night, do you think were there any winners that came out of that debate?
I think Kamala Harris emerged. That's all I have to say.
Because I think Mayor Pete did too, though. I thought Mayor Pete did pretty well.
Pete did pretty well. He's very well spoken. He's got a big vocabulary. He's very smart. Kamala Harris is 54 years old. Joe Biden's going to be pushing 80 by the time this election. He's almost 77. He's going to be 78 by the time the election happens.
Yeah.
And one thing that Trump has is endless amounts of energy from all that McDonald's and Diet Coke that he drinks.
The Diet Coke is just getting him fired up. I like it.
Him and Warren Buffett somehow just live on that. I don't know how it happens. Actually, I don't believe it. But You need a candidate. If just after one debate he was that tired, how do you think he's going to last over the next 6 to 12 months every single day on the road?
I'm just amazed you guys act like Joe Biden is going to pass out and keel off and die in like 2 weeks or something. It's great.
If I may say so.
Hey, Dave, thanks.
Biden has never won a lot of delegates when he ran for president. It's like 2 or 3. He won 2 delegates in Iowa when he ran against Obama, I think it was. He's just not a big a big vote getter.
Well, things have changed. Obviously, he was vice president to a very charismatic president in Barack Obama, so that kind of changes the whole dynamic. I don't want to compare this election in 2020 to elections back in the 90s and even in the 80s. I mean, it's going to be completely different. The dynamic's totally different.
But Biden has never grabbed a lot of votes. I mean, it's a fact.
Dave, we appreciate the phone call. Enjoy your weekend, okay?
All right, buddy.
Thanks very much. The Vegas Take coming your way live here. 702-257-5396 is the phone number. Kelly joins us now on the phone line. Kelly, what's going on? What'd you think about last night?
It was, I believe Trump won. He was the big winner of the last 2 nights.
I looked at a couple of publications, and they do mention Donald Trump as one of the guys who did win in the debate last night, which is pretty funny.
What's funny is everyone, from what I understand, the cover of like the New York Post had a picture of everyone raising their hands in response to the question about the, would you
free healthcare for immigration,
cover illegal aliens?
Mm-hmm.
And it said, every single person here who's raising their hand lost the race tonight because most people are going to be like, yeah, I don't want my tax dollars for that.
Yeah, well, it was a funny quip that that was brought up. It's to be quite honest with you, I don't think that's one of the issues that's going to be a backbreaker when it comes to this upcoming election, as far as funding for illegal aliens when it comes to health care. I don't necessarily know if that's going to be a major thing.
It was like what's his name, Bernie Sanders,
right.
admitted, I'm going to raise taxes on the middle class. Everyone said they're for the health care thing. I mean, health care is going to be one of the top 3.
Oh, without question. Overall, health care is an issue, yes.
Another one.
Absolutely.
And I think, but my real question, the reason why I called, if Alexandria Cortez wasn't in Congress, and you wouldn't have like her, Ilhan, and Rashida Tlaib, who you don't hear much about anymore.
Would she be a radical activist?
They're all freshman congresswomen. That's why you're asking me. Yeah,
right,
they're all freshmen.
Let's say they weren't in the picture.
Right.
Do you think that the Democrats would be as far left as they are?
Well, the Democrats aren't far. It's not that the Democrats as a whole aren't far left. There are people in the look. It's the Democratic Party. Okay, so people in that party. You bring up AOC. You bring up obviously Tlaib, and of course Ilhan Omar as well too. Yes, there are people in that party that are way left. The question you have to ask though, Kelly, is this: how much influence do they have? How much is the Democratic Party as a whole beholden to those people? And I say absolutely not. Absolutely not. They don't have any power yet. They're just getting their feet wet. Those women just got into office back in late November of last year. I mean, it's not.
AOC's got a huge following. And,
absolutely. Well, look, Twitter followers, Instagram followers. I get it. That's fine. The young people they have that's a new avenue that people have explored. But let's not get it twisted as if these people are running the Democratic Party. That's not the case.
Well, see, I think honestly, JD and you've dealt with me many times.
Yes.
I'm a huge Trump supporter.
Mm-hmm.
I think with people now, these people, if they with the positions they are, they can't beat Trump. If they were more, moderate Democrats.
Yeah, I think that the hatred for Trump is pushing the hatred, and the Democrats think that being so anti-Trump is the way to go into getting votes because they believe that people hate him. Which, I mean, and some do, but a lot want to make money. They want a good economy. They want their health care to be okay. They don't really care like life we talked about, who Trump sleeps with, what his rhetoric is, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
But so in doing that, they're pushing themselves even more left than they would usually be. Also, you've got 24 candidates, so the chances of one of them being incredibly left is actually pretty high as opposed to if there were 3. So that's kind of a different element of and an attribute of this year's election or this year's DNC process as opposed to the standard one.
They lose.
Yeah, so but full disclosure, Kelly and JD, you guys are Trump supporters, so like that's going to be your you're not like the question on the table is.
But Chris, why am I a Trump supporter?
Well, because the economic situation that you think that
exactly
that the Republicans are able to enact under Donald Trump.
I really don't care if he's sleeping with a lot of women or whatever whatever he's doing.
And I get that.
I don't love his rhetoric. I don't love the way I think he does things that are beneath his presidency. I think that he's a little insecure about his position right now, despite the fact that he shouldn't be. But I think he's a good leader, a good businessman. He makes a lot of compromises, and he gets things done when he says he's going to get them done. And I think that a lot of people are going to have the same thought process that I am in 2020.
Okay, so Kelly, quickly, because we have to get to a quick break. But so, do you don't think there's any winners last night as far as the Democrats in that debate last night?
Not
so
from
zero?
What they said. I think what they said really hurt them.
Yeah, but the way that Kamala Harris handled herself, I think, makes her a winner by default.
Well, she's a prosecutor. She's used to talking.
Exactly.
And doing stuff like that.
Kelly, we appreciate the phone call. Enjoy yourself this weekend, okay?
You too.
Vegas Take coming away live here on your Friday. Chris Wynn in for Brian Shapiro along with J.D. Sharp. We'll take a quick break, and on the other side of things, we'll continue with the debates last night as it concluded the two-night affair down in Miami as 10 more of the Democratic candidates for president were on the stage. We haven't got a chance to talk much about Pete Buttigieg, of course, Michael Bennett, another guy that was in that, as well as some of the people we thought were losers. And I think Joe Biden was one of those, as well as Bernie Sanders. And also, we have to get to Marianne Williamson. I mean, there were some classic quotes from this woman as well, too. So we'll continue with much more on the other side of the break as the Vegas Take coming your way live from our studios here at 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDWN.
Память сталинской высотки в центре Варшавы громоздится чуждым анахронизмом. Так давно, что символом города признано, словно Берлинской стены, километр 300, оставленный предками для туристов.
Welcome back to the Vegas Take, coming your way live, 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDWN. I'm Chris Wynn in for Brian Shapiro along with J.D. Sharp. As we get you set for your weekend, we've been discussing, of course, the 10-person stage down in Miami last night as the Democratic candidates, night 2 of the debates went down. And, of course, we're talking about winners and losers. And, again, your thoughts, to 702-257-5396 is the phone number. I want to play a quick clip from last night because in debates like this, JD, you want to look for signature moments, right? Moments where either somebody is able to step up and kind of grab the spotlight. And that's exactly what took place here is Kamala Harris, who we've been talking about, is one of the people who we thought did well last night. Had a shining moment. Here it is.
Hey, guys, you know what? America does not want to witness a food fight. They want to know how we're going to put food on their table. Yeah?
And, of course, that was response to, the back and forth and the banter where, there's people shouting over each other and interrupting each other. And it was much more contested than it was on Wednesday, JD, when we got a chance to see the first 10 of the candidates actually get up there. So it was one of those school teacher trying to control the unruly classroom moments for Kamala Harris that took place last night in that debate. But no question, I thought that she was one of the people that came out looking pretty good. Another guy as well, too, that came out pretty well, I thought was Mayor Pete. Look, going into about 5-6 months ago, nobody knew who this guy was. And, you would have, looking at his performance last night, and I would agree with Chris Eliza from CNN, who had this observation. He looked like a senator. He looked like a governor. He looked like somebody that had been in a position of authority for a long time and had been someone who'd... Now, look, we understand that Pete Buttigieg has been dealing with some serious adversity back at home in South Bend, of course, with the issue of a African-American man gunned down in his town. And, of course, he's getting a huge amount of backlash from the black community there in that city. But I thought he performed pretty well last night, and he was on point when it came to policy and when it came to kind of staying on message and what it is that he's trying to portray as a candidate. 702-257-5396 is the phone number. Let's head out to the phone lines. JD joins us now on the phone. JD, what's going on? What are your thoughts on what went down last night?
Hey, JD.
Hey, JD. Brian, Chris, you're sounding real good tonight.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I got a few things if you can give me the time. Number one, I don't think if they nominate Biden or Bernie that the American public is going to vote for a 78-year-old man, Biden, and a 79-year-old man, Bernie, to be president of the United States. I just don't. JD, you can figure the odds out on that one. Number two, last night when they all raised their hands to provide illegals with health care, that is going to be the lead commercial for Donald Trump's reelection. And what it's going to say is you're buying health care for illegals, and you will be taking money away and services away from African Americans, Hispanics, and veterans. And you are putting illegals ahead of those three categories of people. That, to me, was the biggest blunder. The only thing the 20 Democratic nominees didn't do at the end of the show was tell the audience to look under their seat and see that they won a car like Oprah, because they are giving away everything and anything. Now, regarding Kamala, everybody seems to think she won. Well, the Washington Post said her statements on Biden were inaccurate, and she was pandering. The Washington Post said this. Her voice is irritating, and I don't think she's like chalk on a board. Same thing with Elizabeth Warren. I can't stand to listen to either one of them. She has already changed her position from last night to this morning on free care for the illegals on CBS this morning. So she is flip-flop, flip-flop, flip-flop. And I think that's going to come out down the road. But these people, you had Mayor de Blasio quoting Che Guevara in Spanish. You had two other candidates talking in Spanish. You had one of the interviewers talking in Spanish. This is really a commercial for defeat. These people are just – oh, and nobody has mentioned what Biden said about insurance executives. I thought that would have been the headline of the day. Do you remember? Because I guess it just got passed over. What he said when they asked him what he would do to the insurance executives?
I don't know exactly what he said, but I do know that they're talking about you mentioned Kamala Harris, the issues that she may have after this debate, JD. The one potential problem apparently is that she came out last night for totally abolishing the private insurance industry, which seems to run it runs counter to what she told Jake Tapper a month ago with respect to that issue. So that could be a problem.
Biden said he would put the insurance executives in jail.
Well, look, that's that. If he did, I didn't hear him say that. Did he say that? If he did,
I said I heard it.
It's an extreme statement to say the least, right, JD? I don't know.
You want to talk about a moment from last night? There was a meme or a picture where Bernie Sanders' very long arm pops up in Joe Biden's face. Just he jumps away from his long arm. That was probably the most exciting thing from last night. I mean, it just wasn't overly exciting. There wasn't a lot of winners. Kamala Harris was the big winner. I think she has a really good shot to win the DNC, but she is flip-floppy on issues. I just think that she will be more difficult for Trump to beat than anybody else. Yeah.
If Biden was on top of his game when she accused him of all those things about not being racist, but doing things against black people, he could have said to her, after all my years in service, when my record is on the books, and 8 years of serving with President Obama, do you think if I was president, I would do anything to hurt African Americans?
Is that? Do I hear JD advocating for Joe Biden?
No,
is that what I'm hearing, JD?
So do you think he'll do better in the second debate, JD?
Well, he better. Otherwise, his support will drop off, in my opinion. But I don't think he has a chance because of the age factor.
Yeah, I mean, do these guys really want to be president at 83, 84 years old? I don't think that they do.
Well, yeah, JD, they have an ego as big as the moon. Who wants to piss higher and piss farther?
Nobody. I get that, but nobody can beat age. And a 78, 79, 76-year-old Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders.
Now, look, I'm a Democrat.
On the road for 9 to 12 months.
Bernie Sanders is going to be the nominee. If he wasn't the nominee 4 years ago, he's not going to be the nominee this year. Okay, that's not going to happen.
Honest to God question, has JD, you can answer this better than anybody else, has any presidential candidate died or gotten extremely sick and had to drop out within 6 to 8 months of the election that you can remember?
I go back and back and back. I thought of the scenarios. What would happen if the nominee died during the election? Would they elevate the vice president or whatever? I don't recall anything along those lines for years and years and years. I really, we've been lucky, I guess. But this. By the way, Chris, when we walked out of the event at Rodizio's, you mentioned to me that Tehran, they bombed 75 missiles were sent into Tehran.
Yeah,
Where
that
did you
was
get that information.
There was somebody was showing me the text. I thought it was Brian that showed me the text.
Brian got a crazy text.
I don't know where that was from. Yeah, what it was.
us.
But hey, I just saw it. It was my initial reaction.
And obviously Trump didn't do that because he noticed there'd be 150 people that would have died, innocent people that would have died. So
what I find interesting about these debates are the things that they are not talking about. No question on the national debt of $22 trillion when they're advocating for all these free things, school and college and everything, wiping out college debt, sanctuary laws needing to be changed, sanctuary cities and ICE, and the failure of the public education system in the inner cities that has failed and failed and has brought nothing but illiterate people who can't even read other than about 25%. And that is a failure of the education department, the Democrats who run these cities. But they're not talking about one of the things that needs fixing the most, and that's the national debt, and that's the inner city education school.
Well, the national debt, JD, in all fairness, you can take a solid look at December 2017 when that new tax plan was passed, and a lot of benefits were given to the top 1% of this country, and it was a huge factor, JD, in spiking the national debt. I mean, it was absolutely monstrous.
Chris, that stimulated the growth in the business. That's why we have 3.1 GNP. That's why people are getting more jobs. That's why
JD, it cut taxes, so it cut the revenue that's coming into the United States Treasury in turn, which is why it's skyrocketed the debt.
More people paying taxes. It will go down. And one last thing before I know I'm taking a lot of time. Why hasn't President Obama come out to defend Joe Biden?
Oh, I think he will in due time end up coming out and endorsing Joe Biden. But to be quite honest with you, I think he's more focused on endorsing whoever the person who's going to be the nominee. He's going to endorse whoever the nominee is.
Yeah, but after last night's debate, he could have come out and say, "I know Joe Biden, and he's not a racist," and blah blah blah. At least some kind of defense. Vice president for 8 years.
Well, President Obama, his MO is, he likes to stay in the background until he feels that it's the right time or it's proper for him to kind of chime in. And so maybe he just doesn't think that's the case. But JD, hey, have a great weekend. We appreciate your time on a Friday.
Thanks a lot. Likewise, guys.
702-257-5396 is the phone number. Chris Wynn in for Brian Shapiro along with J.D. Sharp. Let's head to the phone lines. Brad joins us now here on the phone lines. Brad, what's going on?
Hey, Brad.
Brad, are you there?
Hello, Brad.
No Brad on the line.
Bye, Brad.
702-257-5396 is the phone number. Jacob now here on the phone line joins us. Jacob, you're on the Vegas Take. What's going down? Jacob, are you there? Vegas Take coming your way live on a Friday.
I believe
people are so spellbound by the debate last night.
That was Jacob.
They want to chime in, JD.
I think that might have been
what happened.
That might have been Jacob Wool.
It might have been.
It's very possible.
I would not be shocked.
And he didn't talk because Brian Shapiro is not here, and he wanted to talk to Brian.
He's
Shapiro.
like, I don't know who this Chris Wynn guy is, but I don't think he'd light into me as much as Brian would on the airwaves. So 702-257-5396. Let's go to Seth. Seth joins us. Seth, what's going down?
Hey, Seth.
Seth, are you there?
Johnny, our line's okay?
No, Seth. Yeah, and we have we have Salim on the air as well, too. Salim, is that pronounced right? Is Salim joining us here on the Vegas Take? And Salim, yeah, they might have bounced out as well, too. So, but the debate last night. Here's the thing, JD, and
we just went 0 for 5.
Here's the
in
thing.
about 3 minutes.
All these
That's
Republicans are calling up, right? These Republicans and Trump supporters, JD, calling up and talking about how this person doesn't have a chance and this person doesn't have a chance. That's not really what that's about. Last night was about the Democrats kind of putting their foot forward. Some of them, it wasn't their best foot forward, but they're putting their foot forward, right? And this is a problem I have sometimes when you have this many people in it.
By the way,
you're killing, everybody gets killed.
After the debate, Bernie Sanders was asked if Donald Trump is a racist, and he actually called him a bigot.
There were a couple of candidates the last couple nights that were calling Donald Trump a racist.
I was shocked that Bernie Sanders actually called him a bigot. I was surprised he did that.
Yeah,
that's kind of an aggressive stance for a guy like him.
But
the
overall consensus was this, though, JD, is that one of the reasons Donald Trump won the debate last night is that they weren't talking about him enough, that they weren't confronting him enough, that they weren't criticizing Donald Trump enough, and this is my whole mentality when it comes to the Democratic Party. And people want to talk about this person has no chance, and this person, all these callers, right, saying Biden has no chance. Kamala Harris, I don't think she has a chance. Biden's going to be 97 years old when he gets in. The way you guys are talking, it's like he's not even going to make it through the campaign season. He's going to be on his deathbed before he even makes it there. But the whole mentality of anybody that's not a Trump supporter or a Republican in this country, and I am fairly confident when I say this, everybody's mentality is that you use whatever phrase you want to do. Any means necessary, anybody but. Everybody's mentality is this. We need to get Donald Trump out of office. That's what they're thinking, okay? It doesn't matter if it's Joe Biden. It doesn't matter if it's Kamala Harris. It doesn't matter if it's Cory Booker. It doesn't matter if it was Bernie Sanders, which I don't think Bernie Sanders is going to be the candidate, is going to be the nominee. But the point being is that when the rubber meets the road, right, and all the smoke clears, and you have Democrats criticizing Democrats in these debates, and Democrats bringing up negative points about other Democrats, when it's all said and done, and when you get to about 4 or 5 months out of the election, and we determine who the candidate's going to be, and that candidate picks a running mate, right? That is going to solidify everybody in the Democratic Party, and they are going to back up whoever it is, whether it's Kamala Harris, and she has, say, for example, Cory Booker as a running mate, or say, for example, it's Joe Biden, and he has Kamala Harris as his running mate. Everybody that is a Democrat is going to get behind that. And they're going to accentuate the positives. Not going to be talking about the negatives anymore. Democrats won't be criticizing Democrats. We saw what happened, in 2016 with the Republicans. Republicans were cutthroat. They were going back and forth. You listen to some of those debates and those clips with Donald Trump and Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio. It was absolutely they were laying waste to each other, hammering each other on the debate stage. And to a certain extent, that's what happened last night. Not so much on Wednesday. It was more cordial, as we pointed out. But there's not going to be any of this negative vibe among the Democrats once the decision is made and we find out who the nominee is and who the running mate is. It's going to be very much, I'm not saying it's going to be exactly like a campaign-wise aesthetically and as far as the aspects of the campaign of 2016, but it's going to be a binary choice. You're going to be able to pick the Democratic candidate, or you're going to be able to pick Donald Trump, who is in office right now. And I'm telling you, all these Republicans out there and all of our listeners that are Trump supporters saying, as of today, it's a runaway. Donald Trump's going to roll through. It's way too early to make that assumption, first of all. And second of all, the dynamics, we have no idea. We are 15 months out, okay? What's going to change in the next 15 months? What Donald Trump's going to do with the G20, and we're going to talk about that as well coming up in the next hour. And we'll see how things change. But it's, we're in for a whirlwind. Get your popcorn ready, right, JD? Because it's going to be a show.
Yeah, get that popcorn ready for sure.
It's the Vegas Take coming away live here on a Friday. I'm Chris Winnie in for Brian Shapiro along with JD Sharp.
I'm excited to find out about free agency from Jamison Welsh in a couple of minutes.
It's just, we've in the second hour, we've got Jamison Welsh, our NBA insider.
This is one of the biggest free agencies possibly in the last 25, 30 years for the NBA. There's going to be some huge, huge changes. A couple of teams are going to become super teams. A couple of teams are going to lose their status as dynasties. And I think we're going to find out a lot about that.
And JD, in the last 24 hours, of course, we've had news out of the Bay Area regarding Kevin Durant and possibilities with the Golden State Warriors in a contract. And also, it always comes back to the Lakers, doesn't it, man?
Did you see that Durant is considering suing the Warriors?
I did not see that.
He is considering suing them.
Is it something to do with the medical staff there and disclosures and non-disclosures?
You know, when you tell a player that he can't get more injured than he already is, and he goes out there and he tears his Achilles and he's out for a year and a half or 2 years and he's not the same player, that's how you get sued. And I think that there is a decent, I'm not saying 50%. I'm saying as a betting man, I'm saying there's about a 20 to 25% chance that they get sued. But that chance gets a lot bigger if Durant comes back and he's just not the same player.
Yeah. And, of course, news coming out of Los Angeles as well, too, as they continue to clear cap room there. There's like 3 players on the roster. And we'll get into all that with Jamison Welsh in the next hour as well, too. We'll talk about the G20 Summit. Also, as we continue, 1 hour down, 1 more to go. It's the Vegas Take coming to you live on a Friday. Chris Wynn in for Brian Shapiro along with J.D. Sharp. Stick with us on the other side of the break. You're tuned to 101.5 FM,